We are going to do this, and we're going to film it. Hey guys, I'm Michael Rosehard, and this is
Matt McKeever.
And we are Mike and
Matt
on fire.
So today we're just going to be diving into a Mr. Money Mustache article. It was actually a guest post on why you'll become busier in retirement, or why you'll become busier after retirement, I should say. And it's an interesting topic because Michael just recently became tired. I've kind of sort of been for a year-ish now, and I think we both agree with it in general.
Yeah.
And so the article really, it kind of goes through the guy's background a bit and just explains some of his interests and hobbies, but really focuses or boils down to 3 points. And so the 3 major points he brings up are that all the projects, goals, and activities that were not possible when you were working now become possible. So all of a sudden you, over your working career, build this long list of would be nice to do's and projects and kind of whimsical dreams, and once you hit early retirement, it actually becomes a reality that you can take action upon them. And then second is you break out of old patterns and are exposed to new people, places, and things. And the third one is that you realize that your life won't last forever, essentially, that nothing's permanent. So I think me and Mike are just going to kind of talk through our experiences with this subject matter. So do you want to start off?
Sure.
On
So I feel like I'm tired, not retired. I'm just tired. So I'm more recent into the financial independence space. I wasn't financially independent until probably January. Didn't leave the job until early mid-March. So I've been off off of the full-time work, but I jumped right into being an at-home full-time dad. So yeah. I've been at home, and my daughter's sleeping right now as we're shooting this video footage on an app. So that keeps me pretty busy during the day, as well as having like the 12 properties. And I recently 2x'd my business in the last 3 months. My real estate portfolio has doubled. So I have 5 renovation projects, 5 different properties on the go, which is, I wouldn't even use the word retired. I think I'm probably just self-employed right at this point. I do.
So we need to cancel the channel and close down, and we're a giant fraud. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm a bit of a fraud, but I won't be in this predicament in like 3-ish months.
And I think just for people that are less familiar with you, it should be probably couched in the fact that you were capable, you had reached the kind of the tipping point of being financially independent already, but for various reasons you decided to take on a bunch more projects that weren't necessary to your retirement, but were simply maybe auxiliary or just kind of a personal decision to do. It's not that you had to take on all these additional responsibilities in order to be able to quit your job. It was more that because you were quitting your job, you took on all these extra projects, which I think is really, might sound like minutia, but there's actually a big difference there, right?
I'm capable of retiring, but not retiring.
Yeah, and so I did something very similar, and maybe it's because both of us use real estate as our primary vehicle to reach financial independence, but I did very similar, where I acquired a bunch of properties right after I kind of left the working world or my career, and then took on a bunch of other, like maybe little side hustle-y things. And the idea was you're used to having this giant bank of time you spend at work, and like you try and fill it, and you still are kind of a little scared at first when you quit your day job, because a lot of the normal day-to-day people around you are going to think you're crazy. But so I guess the dust has settled a bit more for myself, and I still find myself as busy or busier than I was when I was working a full-time job. And I think point number 2 for me really brings out a lot, that you expose yourself to a lot more opportunities and people. And so, by creating the Land on Fire community, by really diving into trying to help people take control of their personal finances and stuff, I've exposed myself to, like, my social circle's grown, I think, literally exponentially since I became financially independent, because it gave me time to kind of like, I was no longer, tunnel visioned on the goal. I now kind of like looked around, and like was able to make a huge new group of friends and get all kinds of new social satisfaction from these interactions. And like, by creating a YouTube channel, by trying to document my experiences, by trying to help other people learn about real estate, it's both, I don't know, it takes up a lot of your free time, right? And I think most people that are going to reach financial independence at an early age are going to be relatively driven individuals that are going to find ways to constantly fill up their time. And so, like, literally today's Monday morning, I don't have a day job, and yet I'm mildly stressed because I just realized I had a bunch of conflicting scheduling items that because I stopped kind of keeping calendar and stuff. It's really biting me in the ass. But so like, yeah, you're constantly busy. No, this is for later today. It's not this. But I think the same thing with Michael, right? He was a very productive individual, and so to kind of still have that sense, you jumped on a bunch of projects at the start, and I don't think you've reached it yet, but I definitely did. I think I reached it a couple of times, which is maybe weirder, but giving yourself time to decompress, to really like,
I crave that so hard right now.
Really just like kind of take inventory of what's going on and what you actually want. Because while you're tracking your savings rates and figuring out your return on investment and figuring out what early retirement will look like for you, you build this picture. But often we don't really get into the minutia of how to like parse it and how we're actually going to do that, right? So you're maybe like, I'm going to spend more time with family. But then you have to figure out how to spend more time with family, because your time's freed up maybe an extra 40, 50, 60 hours a week, but your family's hasn't, right?
Right.
And so there's still a lot of gives and takes that end up resulting still in like a lot of peak crunch times for us, right? Like if you're going to hang out with people that have a day job, it's still going to have to be weekends or nights, even though the fact that we can do it whenever we want. So I do agree, you really do find yourself a lot busier in retirement. Definitely. It's a choice though. It's still an active choice. It's first world problems, like
I think there's something to be said about that, and there's a huge value. Like some people ask me like, or they say, I love my job. Why would I want to be financially independent? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, so in the last 3 or 4 months, I went to work when I was still working. At the mid-sized tech consulting firm that I was a manager at. I would come in and talk to people on my team, and when I'm working with people on projects, when you're there by choice and not by necessity, it's a different feeling. It's like I'm choosing to be here, and because I'm choosing to be here, I'm free. And so I could walk out at any time I wanted to, barring like social obligation, the commitments that I made, and my word being my bond. But beyond that, it's different than being there because you have to be. So when the boss comes in at you and lays it on you, or a client comes back at you and they yell at you, or whatever happens, right? Something happens in the work world. I just remembered that last bit. For those who are getting close to financial independence, it becomes really liberating as you create that sense of like, hey, I have choice. I'm going to be able to choose to work.
And that's really what financial independence is for, I think, everyone. It's honestly just creating more opportunity and more choices for yourself, right? Your have-to-dos shrink dramatically, but your want-to-dos are as big or bigger than ever, right?
Yes.
And so I constantly find myself still like delaying certain things. Like at some point in time, we're hopefully going to take a road trip to the Mecca.
We are going to do this, and we're going to film it. Mike and Matt are going to get on fire with Jacob Lundfisker and Pete Adney. Mr. Money Mustache and early retirement extreme.
And same with, I just had a friend text me last night that we've been talking about like backpacking through Europe for a couple of years now, and he's like, are we actually going to do this? And I was like, yes, but, and I still had to like give him a bunch of qualifiers. So don't think of early retirement as being the solve-all to your busy life, because you're probably going to create just as busy of a life around the new dynamics with early retirement.
It becomes, it does become less about the money, I think. I was very focused on the money, and like during that time I was very, very frugal. I wouldn't even like, I'd hold on to my pennies very tightly. And because I was working 100 hours a week with my full-time job at 50 hours a week, and then my side hustles, renovating all of these properties, I think I was very like heads down, very tunnel focused, like you were mentioning. And then as I was coming out of the tunnel, I got to see the light as I was coming towards financial independence, and then I bought 5 properties, and now I'm back down in the tunnel. So right now I'm actually in the tunnel yet again. It feels like I'm working, but it's having I think I have like my net worth is somewhere around 450 times my monthly expenses currently. So, I could live for 450 months with no interest, just on what I have if I liquidated everything today. So that's a liberating feeling. And like I know, even though I'm in this tunnel, and when I'll give you an example. On Friday, I came into one of my rental properties. You probably heard about this. And I came in, and the ceiling is just about to list it this weekend. And the water's coming down through the ceiling on the slip. Everything's done, mint. Like we've already finished all the drywall. Second floor bathroom had a leak that came through the drywall and ruined, like on laminated floors. Just an example of like if you're in the tunnel and you don't have that focus and that goal of financial independence, and I hadn't reached that, it could have been devastating to my entire weekend. And like because I had that security and that we went to her parents' cottage this weekend, went to a wedding on Saturday, and I just left it behind. I was like, that's Monday's problem. Like, okay, I called a plumber and I stopped the leak, but like the drywall is open right now.
Yeah.
I know that I should be listing the property, but there's less of that urgency and less of that like stress associated that I once had.
Yeah, and I talked about this a little bit on my channel already, but definitely do make time to allow for yourself to decompress once you early retire. It doesn't have to be right away. You can jump into a couple projects like myself or Michael did, or you can, block off a month right after. I honestly think it would be valuable.
I wish I did that.
It'll really let you get perspective on everything. Like, there's this fear that you're not going to have enough, but honestly, with early retirement, your absolute worst case scenario is you go back to being a normal person, living a normal life. And you did it already. You can do it again in a worst case scenario. So don't panic. Give yourself time to breathe, and don't bite off more than you can chew unless that's really what you want to do right off the bat, because you're going to be surprised. Like, for whatever reason, once you do get financially independent, you give yourself that decompression time, like, you're going to sleep a bunch and you're just going to like be lazy a bit, and it's okay. Like,
I wish.
That's fine. Well, you just haven't given yourself time to decompress yet. But when you do, you will, trust me. And like, it's good because like you want to give yourself that open, free space so you can really think through and like reprioritize your life, right? Up until now, you've been working full time and you've been very goal oriented, and because of that, you haven't given yourself a lot of white space to think through like the next step, really. Like, you may have pined for it or had daydreams, but it's completely different once it becomes your new reality.
I agree with that entirely, and I want to share for the audience something. I know when I was on the journey to financial independence, I was 19 years old and 20 years old, and I had my first property and I was renovating it, and I was reading all these articles because I had more free time at that point than I do now. So that's when I really sat down and set out my path and built my plan in Excel. And I remember looking at these articles, like reading it like gospel. And I always would try to envision what it looked like after retirement. And it was very like a very rosy picture, and it is better than working. I would never want to go back to the day job, to the stress of that. I prefer being self-employed and that. But I think it'd be valuable for the audience if we shared, like, Matt, what do you do? Give me 2 examples of what a day looks like when you don't have a job to go to, when you're retired.
And that's honestly the most common question I think you'll get as an early retiree. And literally for myself, there is no routine, there's no nothing, but I'll be completely honest, I'll just go through what today is. So today, I set an alarm for 6:49 because I wanted to get up early and cut the grass at my rental properties. 6:49, the alarm went off, I got up. It was a little wet, so it was going to be too wet to cut grass, so I put it off and then turned off the alarm and woke up at 9 a.m. So then I woke up at 9 a.m.
You texted me?
Yeah, pretty much texted you just to confirm that we're going to do this at 10 o'clock. Then from 9 till 10 was really just kind of like running around doing like personal hygiene stuff and just tidying up a bit and just kind of mapping out what my day was going to look like. Then from probably like 10 till 12ish today, we shot a bunch of YouTube videos. Then I'm going to meet up with Dylan and Jeff. We do our weekly analysis of the MLS sales. So we'll do that. That'll probably be an hour or 2. Then at some point in time, I need to switch vehicles with my parents because my dad owns a truck and I sometimes borrow it when I need to move big things. I need to do that. And then I just have a long list I carry around this little black book to try and keep myself organized. Just a long list of to-do items there. But the nice thing is, often they just roll over to the next day and there's really not huge consequences. I just kind of figure out what are the most important things of the day and tackle them. But yeah, and then otherwise at 5 o'clock I'm meeting up with someone for coffee just to discuss some real estate investments. Then I think from 6:45 till 7:45 looking at some private deals, and that'll be most of the day. And that won't be tomorrow, and that wasn't yesterday, but like that's a scatter shot. My days are just scatter shots. What about yourself?
I'm on more of a routine because with my daughter until later when my wife joins me in a month or 2. So I guess I could go through most Monday to Friday, assuming she's not on a vacation day or staying home. My wife Elise. I'm on primary duty with my daughter, so I get up with her around 7 o'clock. We do playtime. We have a lot of fun upstairs. We play with all these new toys, and I really enjoy it because I get to model and kind of shape her mind. So for me, that's a bit fulfilling. and then I do some of the mundane stuff like dishes and housekeeping items. And I'm an at-home dad right now, and it's a cool hat to wear for a while. I think I'll probably like to wear a different hat in a little while, so that'll be good. But most of my day is that, right? She goes down for a nap. During her first nap, I do a lot of my real estate calls, so I check my texts. Usually tenants have texted me, or something has happened at one of my properties, and I damage control that. In the morning, if I'm doing any renovation projects, I'll touch base with contractors, touch base with sub-trades, touch base with organizing materials and that type of thing on site. Doing that mostly virtually, and then in the afternoon, I'll typically go for a walk with Emma. We'll go walk to the Lowe's or to the bank, obviously banking, that type of thing. And then my wife gets off work at 3:30, which is great. She's a part-time. She works like 8:30 to 3:30, which is great. And yeah, in the evening we kind of kick back and relax. Oftentimes in the evening I'll meet with someone and hang out with friends for a bit, do bath time with Emma, and then the rest of the evening is sometimes on MLS, looking at deals, talking with friends on the phone, watching a bit of movies. I'm a bit of a Netflix binger right now. I'm on House of Cards and a few other great series that are out right now. So that's a day for me. And then the weekends I do grind. So Saturday, Sunday typically for me are like 13-hour days at my properties. I leave right in the morning. I don't come back till 6 or 6:30 at night. That's not something I want to do long term, but for right now, that's what financial independence looks like for me right now as a real estate investor and entrepreneur.
Yeah, and I just wanted to re-emphasize that despite that's what it looks like for Michael, it wasn't a necessity of him reaching financial independence, like working it's just, I did something similar when I first quit. I think it's just like overachievers have a tendency sometimes to bite off more than they can chew. But the great thing is, at the end of the day, once you reach financial independence, you are going to get to define what your days look like. So whether that's committing to some big projects and being very work-oriented, whether that's being lazy and aloof, it doesn't really matter. The key is the key with financial independence is you get to choose. And so, so definitely when you do get close to reaching financial independence, don't expect to have all the free time in the world unless you've given yourself some time to breathe and decompress, because you'll find lots of ways to fill that time. Don't worry about it. And actually just one last thing is, one of the things both Michael and myself did is create a community of like-minded individuals. And I'm just going to constantly stress that for you guys, because I think there's so much value there. If you're in the London area, you need to check us out. And if you're not, you need to create something similar in your own community. There's something really special about meeting people in real life that have the same goals and the same perspective as yourself. But otherwise, thanks again for taking the time to watch. Let us know in the comment section down below, what are one of the first things you plan to do when you reach early retirement or financial independence? And
yeah, I'd like to hear in the comments as well, what you guys are doing for hobbies, what you guys plan to do in financial independence. Is it hobby related? Do you have this big goal or this big trip you want to take, or do you want to backpack Europe? We'd love to hear about that. Maybe it'll give us some ideas to do something once we've settled up with our real estate ventures.
And so we still don't have an outro because we're shooting these back to back, but let us know what our outro should be in the comment section down below too. But until next time, I'm Matt McKeever.
And I'm Michael Rosehart, and we are Mike
and Matt
on Fire.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.